Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with Twanman. I am Twanman, otherwise known as Captain Slim Shady on the Sea of Thieves, but we're not sailing the seas today. Instead, we're going to talk about mental health. We're going to do this in a little mini podcast series. We're going to talk about different subjects like streamer mental health, personal mental health, and I have one of my good friends here, Squadward. She's going to join us right now for this half an hour segment of mental health. So let's get her on. What's going on, girl? Welcome.
What's going on?
So let's talk about mental health here a little bit. We had obviously we had the COVID, the COVID stuff. How's the COVID affected your mental health? I'm gonna let.
Well, so I came back literally from a trip last March and pretty much came back into quarantine and then lost my job because of COVID. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and then I started studying for law school and my plan was to go to school cuz we were going to have a two-income household and that didn't end up working out either. So, now I've just started interviewing again for jobs, but I'm an outgoing person, so being stuck in the house 24/7 was definitely really hard on my mental health. There were some weeks I didn't talk to anybody at all. I just went through a dark phase, but I really got more into gaming and streaming and stuff like that, which it helped my mental health tremendously just to keep me distracted and meeting all these cool people to play with at all hours, like when I can't sleep at night and stuff like that. So it was definitely hard on my mental health, but it's definitely led to some good things as well.
Absolutely. Always, a good thing with mental health too is, when you get into, especially, if you find something, that makes you happy and, that brings, people. When this whole pandemic started, last year, I had actually gotten really, 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 really sick. And I actually think I had COVID, but this is before, we did the testing.
Right.
Testing was a rarity. And, but I remember when when this started, I'm like, you get that sense of fear, like, well, what are we gonna do now? Are we gonna be okay? And my company I worked at, they kept us on the payroll. So, but I'm like, well, so gaming was a big part. Sea of Thieves was a big part. I can tell you, I probably spent more than 100 hours, probably in about 2 weeks on the game. So it's always good, to find those things, especially when everybody's got to be quarantined and it's never it's a hard thing to have to stay in all the time, especially I noticed with the kids and the students, when you're just zooming and you're not there with your friends, what do? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but then I see these families and I see these people, I see the suicide numbers going up and I think to myself, what can we do better? How can we help, people, that struggle?
Right. Well, a good start to that would be having mental health care be affordable to everyone, in my opinion, at least. I do go to therapy, which I started during the last few months. Again, I've done it before, but even with insurance, it costs over $100 every session, which is insane.
That is insane. You would think, just, to get, help and everything, they would have some sort of programs or something that, that allows a person, who, if they don't have a job or if they make under a certain amount, you can get it for free. You can get help for free.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, you would think, but I'm lucky enough to have money and saved to be able to afford it. But I think the communities being affected by COVID, the most are the ones that are, um, low income areas and stuff like that. Not only because they can't afford the medical care if they get sick, but also just the mental care. It's
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of us, one point in time, and I'll share my story, here a little bit, because I'm not, I'm not afraid to speak about it. My mental health, my depression started years ago. I had grown up with my great grandparents, and my great grandpa, had passed away, and we were still young. And after he had passed away, I started, I started developing depression. I started, you know, for being a very shy and always a happy, joyous kid all the time. I was always, I was, depressed, and there was a point of time in my life that came that, I reached a very dark spot, and if it wasn't for the help of some old friends, I don't think I'd be, I'd be in the position where I'd be today. And some days, some days are harder. Some days are harder than others, and I still, and like a lot of people out there, I still struggle with it every day. I may seem, happy and, going, but sometimes, there's to me, there's different types of depression. There's a silent depression.
Mm-hmm.
There's the, I need, people, crying out for help. Then there's the, I kind of like gung ho, like they just, at an instant, there's different, types of depression, and I think they need, better systems to go, with helping with that, instead of, having to pay $100 just to
Right.
talk to someone. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Well, and like you mentioned, like, I think I appear like that to a lot of people too. Like you're saying, just like outgoing and happy. And yeah, some days I am, but I struggle a lot with mental health, especially within the last few months or so. And I think it's people like us that, people think are funny. People think are, the happy ones are the ones that are silently struggling a lot of the time.
Exactly. And it's, and it comes down to, as well, and I've lost friends. I can't, count how many friends, I've lost, the battle of depression. And it's like,
Right.
different, celebrities. And sometimes, it's weird too, because I never think, I think depression, I'm like, man, here I am, I feel happy and go lucky, but then you have the moments that hit you, and you're like, how does this even happen? How do I control this? What do I do?
Right.
And some people, have to realize sometimes talking to people, it doesn't help too. It's like, where do you find your happy medium? The reality is, what I've learned in life, what I've learned through life, depression's always going to be there. It's how how do you control it? How can you grasp it?
Right. How do you manage it?
Yeah, how do you manage, for example, a few years ago, I was in, I had my first divorce with my first wife, quite a few years back, and that was hard. That was really, 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 really hard. It just, it just kind of struck me, and it's just, that was a place where, I had to pause, and I'm like, well, where do I go from here? What do I do? What's the next step for me? Like, I feel like I don't want to do anything. I'm depressed.
Yeah. You're, like rediscovering yourself almost, because you become like a we after a certain amount of time, and divorce, which I'm going through right now myself, is like, it's figuring out who you are without that person. It's
Exactly. It's, who you are. And years ago, when I was with the company I'm working with now, when I was with them the second time, this was the third time I'm with them. When I was at Comstock, I was very heavy. I was a lot heavier than what I am now. This is nothing compared to what I was. And one night, my back gave out. I had a lot of pizza. I had a lot of wine. I was drinking. I drank my sorrows away, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I thought to myself, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? So my escape route was, I started hiking. I started getting fit. I started being active. A lot of people are like, well, that's not going to do it. I can tell you from experience, somebody who's, who has depression still, who's been depressed, who's, fights through. Getting outdoors really helps the mind and really helps it. I'll tell you a little story. Years ago, about 3 years ago, I had a stomach ulcer. I don't know if you've ever had one of those, Squad. But
I have not. That sounds horrifying.
it was. So when I had gotten down to a point where I had lost a certain amount of weight, and I remember the food I ate. I don't know why. I always remember the weirdest things in the world. But I had, you know what Catalina sauce is, right?
No.
So Catalina sauce is like, it's almost like a shrimp cocktail sauce in a way.
Okay.
So I had like a salad. I was eating salads, and I had the Catalina. The Catalina was very, very, very like tangy. It was like kind of spicy in a way. It was intense. And I remember that night, and I felt like I was about to vomit everywhere. I'm like, did I get food poisoning? So I called out. Next night, same time it happened, and this is when I realized, oh man, I'm, you know. And so anyways, so I remember when I had to go to the emergency room one night. That was, I would say, for me, it was about the lowest, second lowest point of my life. I was alone. I felt alone. I didn't have anybody in the emergency room, to come see me or anything. I felt alone. And I'm like, I was really depressed. I'm like, but I remember when I was feeling better, I took a hike. Kind of sounds weird. But I went on a hike, and I remember it just rained, it just stormed. And I remember looking at the clouds in the background, and I ran into a song by Hollywood Undead. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yeah, actually, I think you had sent me that song. I listen to that song now all the time.
Yes, I still listen. It's one of my favorite songs. It was one of my favorite songs, and that's what got me out of it. So it's different things can get you out of it. So it's some people who don't have it think, oh, mental health, what, why, this is so stupid to have. You don't know until you've gone through it. People,
right? It's like that. Oh well, there's at some points it's like, oh, there's nothing wrong in your life. Like, well, why aren't you happy? And it's like, because it's a chemical imbalance. It's not as simple as just everything's going right, so I'm happy, or not happy, or it's a lot more than just situational for a lot of people, at least.
exactly, and people have to realize, there's to me, in my eyes, everybody's equal, and we have the like the transgender community, let's go on, to the streamers, we have a lot of transgender streamers, which is fantastic, but people judge them, people got to understand, their emotions, are starting to change and everything like that, and
Right. Yeah, I mean, I mod for several people in the LGBT and QIA plus community, and some of the stuff people come into their streams just to say, like if you use the LGBTQI plus like tag on your streams, and then people will come in and just like bash you. I've had it happen before. I had it happen in my own Discord where someone asked what's pansexual, so I tried to explain it, and that person was like, oh, so we're just making shit up now. And I was like, I just told you that's how I identify. Like, why would you? I just don't understand the need to hate people or not sympathize with people just because you don't personally understand how they identify, or anything along those lines. And like I said, I mod for a lot of streamers in the community, and I have to block so many people because people are just horrible. And if you're already down on yourself and you already have bad mental health, and then you have to deal with that, it's hard to bounce back. But as a streamer, I think you really have to have a thick skin and like be okay with people coming into your streams and saying and doing shit like that, because it's just what people do, unfortunately.
It is, and it's a rough, it's a very rough road. And people, these are, people got to understand, these are, no matter what views you have, I'm Catholic, but my views, everybody's equal, everybody's the same. We're all equal, and everybody has to be treated equally.
And
And
religion tells you to love everyone. If you
yeah,
really, follow your religion, follow your Bible,
exactly. You
it's
have to love, you have to love everyone in these, modern days and ages, whether you're black, blue, brown, all lives matter. Everyone's lives matter. And, people, don't understand, it's I've got a lot of, transgender friends, and, they're going through this process, where they're, switching to the opposite sex, and that's, I can't imagine, you know, what they, go through and all that. And, and, but they gotta be loved, people gotta take mental health so much seriously, and if you're going into people's streams and just sitting there and dogging them, then, shame on you. And, I firmly believe in karma, and karma's going to get people right back for that.
Oh yeah, and if you're doing that, chances are you're going through something yourself, and just instead of dealing with it, taking it out on other
Exactly. It's like,
people.
talk to, someone, come into my stream, come into our streams, talk to us, I don't, I love, meeting new people. I love meeting, all types, all types of people. I work in a casino, so I deal with many. I deal with a lot. I deal with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But but we all treat, we all got to treat, I mean, there's so much variety of, mental health. And, one of the things, especially, in this community we're in, there is, people not realize it. There is a thing called streamers mental health. It's a real thing. And what I mean by that is, we're talking about, someone streaming has a bad day, pull on 2 views, depressed,
Right.
depressed. We've all been through that. We've all been through that. I mean, Squad, what, I'll give my advice here. What would your advice be to those streamers, who have those issues?
So you and I talked about this earlier, and I'm sure you'll touch on it too. But for me, turning off my viewer count was like a huge advantage for me, because it allowed me to just have fun and not care about my views and who's watching, and just focus more on interacting with the people that are in my chat. I think it's also important to have good mods that are available to be there to block people when it's needed, so you're not like on stream and having to do that yourself, and stressing out about it. And I think it's just important to realize that it's not make or break. A lot of us do it for fun, and yeah, maybe the goal is to go full time with it or become partner or anything like that, but I think it's more important to focus on like the now and your viewers and how much fun you're having versus the end goal. I think in streaming and in general, like being in the moment and practicing like mindfulness and that kind of stuff is hugely important, to not be so anxious and concerned and worrying about what's going to happen, and how much money am I going to make this month, and how many subs am I going to get, and am I ever going to be partner? I think it's more important to focus on the moment and just think of the good things. Like, okay, so if you had a low stream numbers, but maybe you had a really good game, or maybe you got a lot of followers, or the other day my numbers were super low, but I still got a hype train and got a lot of subs. And so like just focusing on the victories versus focusing on the negative, I think is hugely important for streamers. At least for me, it is.
No, exactly. I don't think you could have said that, or I could have said that even better myself. That's that's perfect, because I tell people, and this applies to gaming just like it does on gambling, and I tell people this all the time because I firsthand experienced this myself. I always tell people, don't expect anything. If you don't expect things, it's gonna happen in a very great way. If you expect it and you demand it and you want it, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Right.
There's a sense I call greed. There's a mental health, I call greed. And that is a thing. When people get greedy, it's like money. We'll talk about money. In my mind, the root of all evil is money. And when people do get that mental health of like, oh, I'm going to collect all this money, I'm going to be, they get that really nasty mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They get the really nasty mentality. It's like with Twitch, and I've seen it, and there's a reason why. I won't mention the names of the Discords, but there's certain Discords I am not part of anymore, and there's a reason why I'm only part of 2 big Discords. Obviously, the Squad Discord and the VIP Discord. When you mix favoritism and power and everything else in the mix, you're gonna get what I call power hungry like mental health power hungry. And that's what leads to anger. That's what leads to a lot of things, and people don't understand, the reality of it. That happens. That does happen. A good example, something doesn't go right, and you start yelling, you start treating everyone around you like they're piles of shit. I've seen that happen so many times since I have started streaming.
Oh yeah, me too.
And it's like, I think to myself, we gotta be really careful how we approach on, going back to the numbers. We've all had that. I personally have had that happen, where my numbers is. But then after I took a little break, had a little time to relax and get back. It's one of my favorite streamers, Boxy Fresh, and this is what inspired me. Said in an interview, those of you who don't know Boxy, he is a very popular Sea of Thieves streamer. He is actually one of the best in my opinion. And he said, they asked him, what would you give tips to new streamers? And he said, turn off your numbers, just have fun with it. One of another big streamer, I don't know if you know him, Squad, Freemason. Do you know Freemason?
I do not know.
So he's another popular growing one. He said in one of his YouTube things, he spent a year on one viewer, a whole year on one viewer. And now, look, when he least expected it, look where he is now. Averaging.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is. But it's, it comes down to, the mental health of it. Let's, be happy, have fun. Don't worry about your numbers. It's all going to come. It's all going to come in time. It will.
Right.
Just be happy with it. Play, fun games that make you happy. Like, Sea of Thieves. Trying to reverse the ship, playing with Mitch, and, oh, motherfucker. There's just so many, good aspects of it, and, but people, I hope people watch this, and I hope, they realize, there's people that have issues that, there's different type of mental health. There's, the quiet ones, there's the ones that, cry out for help, and, we shouldn't be quick to judge. That could, maybe that could be, someone who hasn't had it, just hits them one day. We all got to be, friendly to one another, and I think it's, and I think the health system should get a better, and talk about the Affordable Care Act. How about we add, free therapy? Well, let's get free therapy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, instead of spending $100 on therapy, when it should just be free to go in and talk to someone, talk to another human being that's very kind and very caring. You know
right.
What I mean?
Yeah.
So, that'll take a little time to wrap my head around. So, but it's just it's one of those things where I think I think it's a huge issue in the world right now, and I know there's a month for mental health awareness. Am I correct?
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know what month it is, but I can look that up real quick. It is the month of May, so that's coming up.
Yeah. So May, mental health awareness. I will be I will be streaming and I'll be promoting a lot. Mental health awareness. Um, I may even do a charity stream at some point for charity for mental health awareness. Um, let's see, Squad. Are you doing something for mental health awareness, or is that Scholastic? I can't remember.
She is, but I think I'm going to as well. I have in the past, and I did for the charity Hope for the Day, but I definitely probably will in May for Mental Health Awareness Month. Just like this month, I'm doing endometriosis because it's endometriosis awareness month in March. So I'll probably do it in May, kind of try to fit that theme. And
Absolutely. I think it's a good.
yeah, I know she's doing it. I think a lot of people in the Discord are doing different projects and different streams and such for mental health awareness, which is why it's such an important thing to me in my channel to have that safe place channel that people can talk in. And I try to do daily check-ins, and if anyone needs to talk, I reach out. Like I'm no therapist, but it helps just to have someone to listen sometimes. Even if they can't give you advice, they can listen, they can send you stuff to make you laugh. Depends on the person. Like for me, sometimes I just want to be distracted. I just want to laugh. Or sometimes I need to talk about what's going on. And I have so many people that I've met in Discord that just know I'm going through stuff and just check on me all the time. Like you being one of them. Like that's been another huge part of streaming for me, is like the mental health part of it, and how a lot of us are advocates for ending the stigma and just being there for each other. People you may never even meet in real life, but have somehow become your best friends and are there for you more than people you might know in real life.
Exactly. They're there for you. They're there, to help. And that's the greatest, joy of having friends. That's the one thing I've learned, even though I am married again. But during the time when I was single, I was going through stuff, the ulcer. One of the things I learned is when you have true friends by your side, it just makes life so much better because you have people to turn on.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. You don't have to worry about being hurt, being judged. Your true friends, will always be there for you, and they'll always love you. That's the greatest. That's the greatest thing, that you can have, especially people who, struggle with it quite a bit. But it's no, it is just it's a great topic, and that's why I want to do these mini YouTube podcasts periodically, so people can understand and see what's going on through people's heads.
Right, and just know you're not alone. I think that's important.
Yeah, know you're not alone. I want this podcast, and if I do decide to do future ones, I want it to be a place where anybody can say anything. They can have free speech, free will. This is a non-judgmental channel. It's a non-judgmental Discord. The IP is the same way too. Everybody's treated equally, and nobody will ever be left out. And we do have mental health sections in the Discord, so I think that's a great way to communicate and help each other. I know I've used it, and it's definitely helped. So, but anyways, Squad, give me just a moment here. I'm gonna wrap this up really quick, but I'll be right back. It's gonna be just a moment. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into the first podcast. Thank you so much, Squad, for being my first guest. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to message me on Discord, message me on Twitch, or anything like that. Anyways, I will catch you guys later. Have a wonderful day, my friends, and please be safe and please be happy. Love you all.